And we back, baby, for another episode of Father Pod on a special month, on almost a special day. Father's Day is tomorrow. We decided to record a very special episode of Father Pod, episode 3. And we have all the usual suspects. We got Clint back in the building, got Vince back in the building, and then we got our boy PJ back again, trying to do a re-up from last week, or the last episode. And yeah, man, I just wanted to go out and say first, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And hope you enjoy your day. Hope you get the blessings that you're supposed to get. I know there's all these jokes around, on TikTok and social media that, father, this is what the father gets on Father's Day, and this is what the mother gets on Mother's Day, type shit. But hope you get your flowers. If you don't, here's your flowers. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for all the demons you fight. Thank you for the stress you go through and you don't show it. All the burdens you take on. And yeah, man, shout out to all the fathers out there. The single dads too. The single moms that are taking on the dad label as well. So shout out to that. Let's see. Let me get this opened up real quick. Where are we at? All right, man. So what's up, guys? How we doing? How's the drive up here?
Yeah, no traffic. Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty quick. Not too bad.
Fast. We're good.
You good?
Yeah, we clear.
I think yours has to go up.
Hello?
There you go. Yeah, man. I know this is a King's Day and there's supposed to be a whole bunch of protests out there. So hopefully you guys have a safe drive home, because you guys all live out there in the IE Fontana area. So be careful. And everybody else out there who's protesting and stuff, shout out to you guys. Shout out for the fight. Keep fighting, because it's getting crazy out there right now. And again, I said this on the pod last night. We do not condone rioting, looting, damaging our city and stuff like that. I can't speak for you guys, but I'm all about peaceful protest and getting our voice out there and trying to make a difference instead of taking away from what we're trying to say and, making it about, looting and destroying our city and shit like that. So shout out to all the people who are actually doing it correctly and, trying to get the message out there and all the bad stuff that's happening out there right now. All right, man. Again, like I said, this is June, so it's Men's Mental Health Month. I was struggling last night to say that whole fucking phrase, like I always do. But we're gonna go around the room and we do things different here. We don't rate our weeks, so I just want to go around the room. I'm gonna ask you how you feeling, how's your mental, and then we'll go from there. We'll go with PJ since he's the newest on the pod. And how's your mental, man? How's your week? Where are you at right now?
First off, thanks for having me back. It was a pleasure and privilege last time around, and to do it again and just be open about everything. My week, I'll give it an 8. Energy-wise was good with the family. Everything's going well. Wife's doing well. Zoe's doing great. Just unfortunate we had a couple funerals to go to this week with family. A little saddening just because for these family members it's just tough. You never want to see the people you love go through pain. I actually just came from a funeral earlier today, and but I think that's what makes it an 8, because you just never know when your last day will be or your family's last day will be. And but blessed, can't complain. It just gives me more of a reason to make sure that we live each moment with intention. So I got myself an 8 for now.
Yeah, shout out to my cousin Marcel. She said that at the funeral, and I really take that to heart. Like PJ said, we went to a family funeral on Tuesday and had to bury one of our aunties, and I I mean, Clint knows. It was a very close family when we were younger. It was great to see all my cousins that I haven't seen in a really long time. And it makes me sad because I sit there and I look and I'm like, man, like I remember back in the day that we used to be together like every weekend. During the summer, we used to be camping once a month. We'd go camping. And those were like the memories I hold dearly to my heart. That's what gave me the family feeling, even though, I went through all I was like, that's what gave me the feeling of family, even though I was going through all the trauma that, I was going through as a young kid. Kept me sane, kept me understanding what family is, and, having to know that I had cousins and family members that were there for me. But yeah, shout out to my fam and them, and the grief that we go through. Rest in peace. And like she said, be intentional with what you say. Don't forget. If you're gonna go see somebody, go do it. If you're gonna go, see your mom, see your dad, see your friends or whatever, go do it. Like, don't wait, don't forget, don't say you're too busy, because you never know. The next day you wake up, something might change. You might be gone, they might be gone, and it's real. Like, I remember growing up, I never understood that fully until now. Like, even this year, I've already had to bury 4 family members, bro, and it's like, it's going fast, right? Man, it's the time moves, and I see that with my kids now, and it's like, the time stops for nobody, life stops for nobody. So all I can say is, like, just, like my cousin was like, be intentional with what you say, and don't hold grudges, and live life to the fullest. That's all you can do. So, Clint, where are you at mentally right now, man? How's your week been, and where are you at?
I'd probably rate my week a 6. There's just a lot going on in terms of my parents. They usually help us with the kids, so the stresses of trying to find people to watch the kids. There's a lot going on at work. Obviously, everything that's surrounding our community, and our nation as a whole. It's kind of it kind of took on a toll on my mental health, to be honest with you guys. I had like a day, I want to say yesterday, I had like this, I guess you can say, like some type of like anxiousness to it. Couldn't really pinpoint what it was, but it went away. But it was just really probably one of the harder weeks I've had to like kind of get through. But we're here, we're good. I put everything in perspective. I try to allow myself at night to wind down, kind of think of the positives of the week, of the day, and kind of bring it full circle. I'm a true believer that you should always try to go to sleep in a good mood, right? Yeah, it's just trying to stay positive, man. That's you get to choose what mindset you bring in a day, and every day I try to bring my best foot forward. So
That's good. Glad to hear that. Vince?
I would say a 7.5. You have your up and downs as a man, as a father, as a husband. Clint saying that we're dealing with a lot of political stuff in our country right now, and it kind of forced me to kind of ask a lot of questions. And I don't like to kind of see things from one point of view, so I try to understand from everything, from all the sides, and like how moving forward, how this affects like my family, my friends around me. So it's a lot to think about. And then on top of that, I don't know about you guys, but I have moments where like I feel like I'm not enough. Like I feel like I'm not doing enough. And I feel like I should be doing more. and then I have to pause myself for a second. I'm like, dude, like, I'm in grad school right now. Like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. Just because I'm not where I want to be yet, doesn't mean that I'm a failure.
Yep.
But sometimes, like, you have these moments where you're like, dang, like, why is it taking me so long? Like, am I making the right decision? You know, this, I want to be at my goal already. You know, and you sit there for a moment and you kind of look into yourself and you're like, man, like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And you have these moments of weaknesses. Like I said, where you feel like you're not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and yeah, so it happens.
Yeah, and you know, to your point, I think we all feel that. I know I do. I mean, from just being honest, like being who I am, that's like the main thing I am. Like that's what I fight every day. It's just not being enough, not being better, like not being enough as a person. Like sometimes I feel like, because I think I'm a good dude. Like I think I do the things the right way. I live my life the right way. I try to teach my kids to be the right way. And to your point, like I always have to sit back too and be like, man, like where I came from, I am enough. You know, I did enough for myself. I did enough for my family to be where they're at right now. Like it could be worse. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where how you're saying that you have to kind of bring yourself back to zero, how I call it, right? You have to start again. Because sometimes you wake up on the wrong foot. Sometimes you wake up and your world is spinning for some reason and you don't know why. You might be in a depression mode. Might be, you know, something that, you know, that you thought of before you went to sleep, and, you know, it kind of ruined your mentality waking up out of your sleep, you know. And you got to kind of ground yourself and get back to zero and start all over again, right? Yeah, because this past week, it was a really hard week for me. It's my anniversary for my mom's death date. And, you know, so this is the type of this part of the year is sucky for me, because I get that, and then I get like 3 months down the line, and it's my grandpa's, you know, anniversary. So I struggle, but I mean, I've been working out a couple times a week for the past couple weeks now, so my energy's been up. But I still have to, you know, kind of retrace my steps with my mental a lot, because sometimes if you don't take control, if you don't notice it, you get, you know, off track fast, right? And then it's hard to bring yourself back. And I've for the past like 4 or 5 years, that's how I've been, where I'll get like a good momentum going, and then I lose my path because I'm, you know, either depressed or whatever, and 3 months later I'm still doing the same shit, and I realize like, oh shit, like, you know, I just lost time, right? So thank you guys for sharing that. All right, man. We're getting into our first we're not easing in. Okay. We eased in with us.
No lube.
Yeah, no lube this time. Straight
Pause.
dry.
Pause.
Dry, all dry.
Pause.
Don't spit.
Pause.
JK. So before we get into our dad questions, okay, we're gonna get into, because I know everyone has been infected by what's going on right now outside, right? What you see on the news, what you see on social media. It's been hard for me to look at social media at all, because it just pisses me off seeing videos of, you know, people being, you know, manhandled, and then with our president backtracking after him probably getting calls from the farmers and, you know, the hotel, you know, millionaires, and saying, you know, you're taking away our good workers and all that bullshit. Now he wants to switch his stance on who he wants to take, and it's just a lot, bro. This stress right now, I think for me, I'm just glad. The way I look at it is, I'm glad my kids are not old enough to be on their own right now, because I think I would be much more afraid for my kids to be on their own, whether it be them in college, whether them be having their own family and away from me, you know, that type of shit. I feel like I can kind of, you know, still hold or protect them, right? And I can't, you know, can't speak for everybody, and it sucks right now because there's a lot of people being torn from families, and it sucks, and that stresses me out because it's like, you know, um, I don't feel like it's right, and I think I heard this somebody say, like, we can debate, who's the best, who's the GOAT in the NBA, who has the best food in America, who has the best, this and best that, but we cannot debate human rights. Like, I don't feel like that should be a debatable thing. Like, you have to have it, and it has to be. And like I said, I've said it before. I don't know what the right way is. I don't know how to do this, what he's doing, the right way, right? I'm not a smart person like that. I've never been in a situation like this. But what we're doing right now is not the right way, and I can tell you that right now. That's one thing I do know, is what we're doing now is not the right way. So, yeah, that's my thought. Anybody else got something to say before we?
It's just we're at the point where it's no longer, in my opinion, a political conversation, right? It's a civil rights and human rights issue, right? And regardless of where you sit on the hallway, I guess you can say, there has to be a level of decency that you give human beings to one another, right? Treat, what the golden saying is, you want to treat somebody like you'd want to be treated, right? And it affects us, it affects me personally. A lot of that stress that I spoke of earlier is that, it's happening in these communities that we all grew up in: Baldwin Park, La Puente, Covina, West Covina, happening in my new hometown, the IE, Fontana Rancho, San Bernardino, Riverside. And, growing up here in La Puente, these are our neighbors, these are communities. I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody came here legally or illegally, right? Growing up, I was taught to look at human beings as a person, right? Judge a person by their character, right? And I agree to your point. I don't think it's right how we're handling it. There has to be a better way forward in terms of developing reform for immigration, right? We on episode 1 of the Father Pod, we were saying that, our families did it the right way under the circumstances during that time frame in which our family came in here, right? They, petitioned who they needed to petition, right? Which were allowed to during that time frame. My mom's oldest brother came here in the 70s with his wife during a time where the United States needed a workforce in nursing and in the automotive industry. At that time, they could petition all of their children and their unmarried siblings, which my mom at that time was not married. So this was in the early 70s, mid 70s. And then, I think in 73 or around that time, there was a bill passed that, if people of immigration status were here in the United States for X amount of years, or prior to January 1st of that starting year, they'd be given asylum, right? So there is a luck to this, right? I know we want to say we're doing it the right way, but there is a level of luck. And the more I look into this, the more I look myself in the mirror. It was just our families, my mom's family was given an opportunity, and, the marbles just fell to it. And which ultimately gave me and my cousins, friends, the opportunities, that our parents dreamed of.
Yep.
Right? Education and the ability to have a dream here in the United States, pursue that dream, have a family, and as well as, not to go through those struggles that they had to get here. Right? So I'm very, bringing it back to zero, I'm very humbled. There's a level of humility to it, right? And I'm just thankful these days when I'm seeing what I'm seeing. But I do stand with, peaceful protest. Like, if you're going to do it right.
Yep.
Was once you start getting out of that box, that's when you start to get into trouble, and for those who are doing it right, continue to fight the good fight, continue to stand up for what you think is right in your heart, and for those who are taking advantage of this, just know that there are consequences to every action, and that's just my 2 cents on it.
You got something to say, Vince?
Yeah, the question I was asking, and I did some research this week, because I was trying to understand the situation. Like, the two different sides of it, from the federal government side, whatever the presidency, whatever reforms he's done with immigration recently, I'm trying to understand, like, the other side of it. Like, these protesters, like, what are they protesting? Like, where are they coming from? Like, I've been asking myself, do we want an open border? Is that what we want? Is that what they're asking for?
Yeah.
Do they want us, like, the United States, to have a more lenient process in order to get your citizenship? Because we've had an open border now for the last few years. I think under Biden's rule, he had, like, how many millions came across the border illegally?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it do we want? Do we want an open border? Do we want to have a more lenient policy to allow immigrants to get citizenship? And I don't know enough. I don't know. I know, for myself, I can speak for myself. It took about 7-8 years for me to get my citizenship. And it was it cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying, like Clint said, we're blessed. I'm blessed. My parents had found a way. My mom came here because she was a nurse. She got petitions. She was able to bring her family over. But it took a long time. So do we need to have a more fast track way, for immigrants to come here, if they're coming here for the right purpose of building a family and raising a family and putting it into the community? Then I'm all for that. I don't know what the process is now.
Yeah.
Like, is it too hard? Is it too expensive? So I don't know.
And I'll say, because if you guys don't know, Chris, my best friend Chris, his mom just recently became a citizen like 5 years ago, and he told me, like, that process is, like, it's nuts, bro. And he even told me, even if the pod that we're gonna drop on Wednesday, he goes into it, so I don't want to, like, take away from his thunder, but he was scared because you have to leave and come back. Like, I think the final stage is, like, leaving and then you get welcomed back into the U.S. He was scared that they weren't gonna let her back in. Like, he was still, like, afraid, even though she went the right way and all that stuff like that. And he's even said, he's like, there's people right now that's on the list doing it the right way that are not going to be able to become citizens because Trump is like, nah. Damn. And I think, to your point, I think our immigration steps and, applications should be reformed and should be redone. And there should be not a simple process, but a straightforward, this is what you have to do to become a U.S. citizen. Whether it's, you're going to be working, for, essential workers, right? Which is, you're going to be up there in Northern California working on the farms, or you're going to be in hotels, you're going to be in hospitals. You got a trade in the Philippines or any country outside of the U.S. You have a trade that we need here. You're going to come over and live here now, then that's your ticket inside, right? And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be welcome into the U.S. if you're not supposed to be here and you're not going to work, but at the same time, that's probably the best route. And to your point, I do not want open borders, right? Like, where you're just, everybody from a fucking other country can just come in here whenever they want, because obviously you have to have laws, correct?
So the hard part is, like, our government is not set up to be able to to take care of everybody. It'd be
Yes.
nice to take care of everybody, right? But we don't have the financial backing to be able to take care of everybody.
Yes.
So how they do that, they raise taxes.
Yep.
Right? California raised taxes, and for a lot of workers, we pay a lot of taxes. And a lot of our taxes are going towards healthcare, education, to individuals that need it.
Yeah.
Right? So there has to be, it's a complex issue because
Yeah.
you can't fix it. Like, it'd be nice if we could just throw money at it and fix it.
No.
But
But there has to be reform on both sides, because I think you have one side, and I'm not talking about one side in general, but you just have one side who want to help, illegal immigrants who are coming across that are already here, and then immigrants in general. And then you have another side who don't care about immigrants at all because they think that they shouldn't be here. But to the point of that, right, they're doing the jobs that none of us want to do.
So, but here's my thing, right? I think one way to fix it is number one, we have to reform welfare, right? Because if you're gonna come in here and you're gonna work, but you're gonna claim welfare because you don't make enough, you're still not paying taxes.
Yeah.
So reform welfare to make it so that even if you're making a little bit of money, you still have to pay taxes.
Well, I think that you hit home what I think should be a process.
Welfare should only be like, okay, we'll help you out for 1 year or 2 years
to get yourself on your feet.
To get you on your feet, but then after that,
and that's my point. Like, I feel like if you include them in the community, right? Be
absolutely.
Like, hey, yes, you are, you came in here illegally, or you're here already,
and you're working on your papers.
You're working on your papers, and you're working, right? You're working for some company or whatever that you should be able to apply. Hey, I want to also pay my dues, right? Because I want to help, right? Because obviously, yes, there are people who take advantage of the system, and I'm not gonna say that there's not, because there is. There's also Americans who do the same fucking shit. But to my point, I think there needs to be a reform on every level of this part of it, right?
Yeah.
And PJ, you got anything to say?
I'll be honest, I'm not as informed as you all are, and in regards to doing the research, but just piggybacking just on what I see, two main points that we have. I think, yes, there needs to be a process that anyone that enters this country can apply for and go through, and step by step, and you accomplish this step, then you move on to the next step, and as long as you're moving towards what you're here to become, a citizen. Unfortunately, there are people here, both immigrants and even Americans, that take advantage of the system. We see it firsthand. I see it firsthand at times at the hospital, so I got to take that hat off a little bit. But also, now the questions that you guys have raised for me as well too, for me to educate myself and be aware of, is what are those who are protesting the incorrect way, in my opinion. What is your goal? What is your reason? Because then, unfortunately, America loves controversy, right?
Mm-hmm.
There could be just as much, or if not more, people protesting the right way, but the camera's not going to show it, right? The news isn't going to show it, and social media is not going to show it. They're always going to highlight the bad, the violence, the looting, all this stuff that's just causing chaos to the country you want to stay in.
Yep.
Right? I think you guys touched on it on the first pod. But I think I got to do more research in regards to understanding the process and what it is currently, to have a better opinion on what it should be. But just to simplify it, just on the topics that the points we've touched on now, is two main things for me I need to focus on. Is there needs to be a process that is attainable in a timely manner. It seems as if the struggles that our parents or our families have gone through, it's like almost unachievable unless you really stick to it. But how much time, how much money did it have to cost?
Well, it's hard to come to the U.S.
You know what I'm
right
saying?
now. I have families in the Philippines.
You know what I'm saying, right?
And
it's like
They can't.
So do you want us here? Do you not want us here? What do you want to do with our people? And
Yeah.
at the same time, if you're gonna do something in protest, like there's a right way to do it. Like it's only gonna make things worse, and it's only gonna make whatever quote unquote the other side is not want. Well, you're only proving their point,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
I'd have to do more research on it, to be honest with you, and but it's giving me a deeper appreciation for our parents and the people and our families and grandparents that came before us that did it the right way, and I can only imagine what they had to go through.
Yeah.
That I don't have to go through, or even come close to experiencing.
Mhm.
So I think
And that's what they call what do they say? The word is like privileged,
yeah.
right? You're privileged to be able to get the opportunity to not have to worry about this, because there's a lot of people that are our age are still worrying about the stuff like this.
Yeah.
So,
And I
so
pray
it,
for 'em.
just to wrap it up, and like I said, to your point, there is a right way, and it doesn't matter what we're protesting. There could be a protest. Like, look at the protest that happened for, I think, George Floyd. Like, it doesn't matter what they're protesting. There's always idiots who come out just because they see that and they're like, oh, we can go get some shit, right? And I think that's where it takes a wrong turn, because then you have these idiots around trying to cause, engagements and for no reason. Well, it's a protest, and a peaceful protest at that, and looting stores and stuff, because they know
it takes away from
the message,
the overall
Yeah.
goal of what everyone's trying to achieve,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the basis of the question is, why are they protesting? And I don't think it's protesting illegal immigration. The protest is how it's going about.
How it's being handled.
Infringing, right? I'm not in law. I don't study law, but infringing your human Bill of Rights. We have 10 Bill of Rights in the United States,
Yeah.
right? So the infringement of due process, infringement of, free of speech, right? So people are masking it as, this immigration, illegal immigration, but I think the core root of what people are protesting and why there's protesting is that people are feeling at this very moment that our rights and amendments are being infringed on.
Yep.
Right? So that's how I'm seeing it, right? And there's two sides of every coin. There's a two-way street to it, right? Both parties can escalate it, what you said, right? There's idiots that will go out there and escalate and push the issue. It takes away from the overall goal. And then, we have family and law enforcement. I salute them that go out there and put their lives on the line for us. But I'm also not going to sit here and be naive that there aren't people that are on that side of the badge that also escalate it.
That take advantage of this
Right.
opportunity to
So
take it that far.
take it how you will. That's just my own opinion on it. If somebody were to approach me in law enforcement, I'm always going to give them respect,
Yep.
right? Because that's how I was brought up,
Mhm.
right? But I also know that not everybody was brought up the way I was.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
well, if you live in the city I live in,
Well, yeah, I mean,
I had a lot of encounters with police
I
officers.
equally had encounters.
Yeah.
So,
But-
were PJs off Blackwood? Yeah.
So, all right, man. Let's
there
move
anymore.
on. We already spent a lot of time on something that we shouldn't have anyway. But all right. So for the first thing, the question is, what is something you wish your dad would have told you? And I'll go first. Anything. I've been waiting.
I'm not following that.
Hey,
I'm not following
hey,
that.
I've been waiting to say
Yeah,
that.
I
I've been
know.
ever since I sent you guys that question. I've been waiting for this moment.
It's therapeutic though, right?
It
It's
was-
quite
yeah.
therapeutic.
Hey, it's
Go
very
ahead.
liberating. I'm just saying.
I'm not following that.
That's kind of hard
Next
to
question.
follow, right? You should have took it last.
Yeah, you should have got like
You know when you're supposed to drop a punchline?
Yeah.
That was the punchline right there. I've been waiting to say that. So yes, my answer is anything. So
So, we're all Filipinos. We're all Filipino dads, and I don't know about your Filipino dad, but my dad he's a tough guy.
Yeah,
You know, he's kind of mellowed out now. He's a grandpa, but he's a tough guy. Growing up, I never got positive affirmation, right? And my love language is words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is because I never got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never was told I did anything good. Everything was like not good enough. When you sent me that text, I started pausing. I'm like, I don't know if my dad's ever told you I love you.
Mm.
I know he loves me. My dad, like I know my dad loves me,
Because he shows it by
He shows it.
actions. Yep.
but I don't think he's ever told me I love you. And I tell my kids I love you every day. You know, like so. I don't think my dad's ever told me that. I don't think he's ever told me that he's proud of me. I think the only time I graduated from Whittier College, I got my bachelor's degree, and I saw I maybe I'm wrong, but I saw a tear in his eye. You know, when I got my bachelor's degree.
He's tearing and he's like, like trying to make it go back into his eye. Like, I'm not crying for you. I'm not
You
doing
know,
it.
and like years later, like I asked my dad, like, how come you never told me anything like that? And he's like, because I'm not going to give you credit for something that you're supposed to do.
That's
know,
tough.
you
That
know?
is tough, bro. But it's
You know, I'm like, okay, I get it. You know,
I mean, that's keeping it real.
That is
like,
tough.
That's
That is-
keeping it real.
that's like something that you tell somebody and you're like, I can't. Like, what am I gonna say to you after that? Like,
he's
that,
like, I'm gonna give you a pat on the back for getting A in class. That's
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do.
yeah,
That's the bare minimum. I'm
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
all right, okay, got it. Keep pushing. You know,
yeah.
maybe that's why I have these moments where I sit in my house and like think to myself, I'm
Am I
not
doing
gonna
enough? Yeah,
I have my dad on my
Push it,
shoulder
yeah.
thinking like,
You know, Vince, you should have a house,
yeah.
right? You should be going to grad school, right? You should be buying a red Honda Civic.
Tokyo drifting.
Tokyo Drifted. I
Yeah.
saw the wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I wish my dad told me I love you. But to be honest, now if my dad did tell me I love you now, it'd be weird.
Yeah. It'd be like,
Something's wrong. What's going on?
yeah, yeah. Are you okay? Clint.
Similar. But I think I wish my dad would have told me that there's going to be some times that you doubt yourself and have that conversation with me, right? It was always, my dad was always like, let's go to work, let's work hard, let's do this, get good grades in school. He was very big on like, one day when you have a family, you'll understand, right? And I don't know if that phrase alone kind of encompasses everything, but I do wish that my dad would have told me that. It does get lonely sometimes,
Yeah.
right? You have your homies, you have your family members, but like when you're handling your business and you're doing your thing for your family, there's a lot of lonely moments where I'm thinking to myself, same thing. Am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Am I being what I'm supposed to be doing for my family, right? And there's always that feeling that you can always do more, right? And when I look back at it now, did me and my dad have a lot of conversations? Yeah. All the card rides to like work job sites that he was on, or when we go camping, or when we go to those Cerritos parties. But it was always so playful, right? But I wish, like, when I look back at now, I wish we had more conversations of like, when you get older, when you do have your own family, look out for these, right? To better prepare yourself, right? So that's my, I wish he would have told me that.
That's a good one. PJ?
Yeah, to touch similar to the last two gentlemen in the past. Everyone who knows my dad, and he's loving, but I think that he wasn't a vulnerable guy. So similar points, same points. I'll try to touch it on a different way. I wish. Damn, this is nerve-wracking. One thing I wish my dad said more, not that I seeked it, was I'm proud of you. You know, you work really hard to try to make him proud, right? And you see the work that he does, and our parents do, and the sacrifice they make with work, with money, whether they have it or they don't, but they never show you that we don't have it. He was always there, like, you know, and I'm deeply appreciative and grateful for how he's always been there. Never missed a game. He would sit through every practice right after work when he had no sleep, stuff like that. But whenever I felt I did the best I could with certain things, or and I came up short and I failed, it was never it's okay, or I'm proud of you that you tried. And if I did do something good, similar to what Vince said, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, I didn't come over here for you to fail. Like, you're not wasting my time, right? But I think the biggest thing, just saying it out loud now, wasn't even I'm proud of you, which I think carries on to now me being a father and the fear I have of making my daughter feel that way. But I wish, and we still have time. My dad's still here, so we have time to work on it. But I wish, as a child and growing up, to touch on Clint's point, similar to prepare you for to prepare you for adult life and fatherhood, was it's okay to be scared. It's okay to fear as a father, as a husband, as a man. It doesn't make you less of a man to be vulnerable. And I think that's where my mental's at. Like, personally, with me, my biggest fear, I think we might touch on it later, is I don't want my daughter to feel that you have to be strong all the time. That being vulnerable is a state of strength. There's a certain strength to open yourself up.
Yep.
And that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be fearful, just as much as it is to be proud and be happy and excited and strong. And I think it takes a stronger person, male or female, to show vulnerability than to be hard all the time.
Yep.
I think if my dad showed it more, I think our relationship would be where I wish it could be. But the hope that I have now that I have a daughter is that we will now get there and we can work on it together, and build on what I wish I had as a child. We can do that now together and for Zoe. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's
No,
a big thing for me.
that's
Yeah.
a fucking, that word.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you something. When I found out I was gonna have Raymond, everyone always asked me, like, weren't you scared? Like, weren't you, like, afraid? The only thing I was afraid of was telling my grandma.
Hey,
Dog,
rest in peace, Lil B. Lil Billy she was a gangsta,
Dog.
like
I
gangsta.
heard.
bruh, you know, and I think, to me, I wasn't scared. I just knew what I had to do. Like, and everyone, and nobody believes me. I'm like, no, like, I was 20 years old. I barely had a job, and I figured out I was gonna have a kid. I was like, now it's time to man up. I wasn't scared. I was like, all right, well, this is what I was, envisioning, not envisioning my life, but telling myself, like, when I have a kid, it's on, because of what I missed out on, right? And for you saying that, like, I think that's what I'm trying to. I think it's the feelings, the acceptance of feelings in my kids, because, like, right now, my daughter Leah, my oldest, she's very emotionally. She's not in touch with feeling her emotions, to say, right? When she does something bad, she gets on herself hard. Like, she's just like me. Like, if I lose, I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna go, work out harder, do all this bullshit to not bullshit, but, like, to, do all this stuff to to make myself better because I want to do it again, right? But she breaks down because she puts too much pressure on herself. And I keep telling her, like, you know, it's ebbs and flows. Like, one day you're going to come to practice, or one day you're going to come to a game and you're going to do really good. Like, you're going to think, like, man, like, I'm the best. The next game you're going to come back and it feels like you've never played the game before. Like, you just miss your spots. You strike out and, you know, that stuff. And you don't realize, like, that's a part of the game and that's a part of life. And that's what I'm trying to teach her right now, like, because she's really hard on herself to the point where it's like she starts crying and you know, she's like, you can tell, like, in her face, like, she's like, it's eating herself inside. And I keep telling her, like, you know, you gotta be I keep telling her, I think it's the Kung Fu Panda, be like water. Be like the water. Right? Like, the water is calm, right? You throw a pebble and you get the ripples, right? But what happens at the end? The water goes calm again. So you let the ripples happen, you go through all that stuff, but then you center yourself back again. You get back, right? You do it again. And that's what I'm, it's experiences right now where you said that, I'm like, damn, like, that's the type of shit, we talk about where, we grow old. I mean, we get older and we realize, like, man, I wish I wish my dad would have had talks with me. And I'm not going to, segue around that saying, like, I didn't have a dad, right? My grandpa was my dad. He, taught me hard work. You never miss. Even if you're sick, you got to take care of your family. That type of shit. And that's why I am the way I am now. And I'm grateful for that, right? And my grandpa was the same way. Didn't tell me he loved me. Didn't praise me for anything. I'd get my ass whooped for, being a kid. But he wanted me to be a grown-up, right? And it was just a way of life for him because of, where he came from, and how he knew how to raise kids. Because, he didn't know, right? He didn't know our generation, that type of shit. So I'm always blessed to have known him and been able to learn from him, like, what I did. Because if I didn't have him, I don't know where I would be right now. Like, I kind of try to, like, rethink of my life. Like, oh man, like, what if I did this and what if I did that? It's like, man, I'm truly blessed to have the guidance of my family, my friends, my cousins, the life that I lived and the hard work that my grandma and my grandpa both showed me. Because my grandma was a hard worker. She was a hustler, bro. She fucking did everything. Sold everything. Fucking swap meets. And that's why another thing, too, where, like, this shit gets to me. Because I'm like, man, I was there back fucking since I was, like, 6-7 years old selling at the swap meet. What if they came to pick my grandparents up? Like, that type of shit. Like, that's why this shit fucking, it irks me and it gets under my skin. But, thank you for sharing that, guys. I mean, that's everything you guys said. It's basically what everyone goes through. All the dads out there who have kids now, that's probably why we're so opposite. Because, like Vince said, any chance I get, I tell my kids I'm proud of them. Even if they, again, like I said, when they do stuff and, they lose a game or whatever, still tell them, you're proud of them and reassure them. It's the reassurance of, I'm proud of you. You did a great job, and making sure that they're loved, and you tell them you love them. I tell my kids I love them all the time. There's times where I just sit there and I watch my kids, and I'm like, man, I can't believe I have kids, bro.
The curveball though. It's like my dad tells Aaron that he's freaking amazing.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's one of those.
My dad, it's funny you bring that up because me and my dad had a conversation. To PJ's point, I made it a goal to kind of, my dad helps us with the kids 3 days out of the week. So I get the opportunity to speak with my dad a lot, right? When he's not on his iPad and not playing his games or whatever. And he told me, our job as parents for you and your sister and you and your ate, was to instill what we thought was right for our family. But now that we have grandkids, it allows us to be proud of what you guys have accomplished. And our job is to love our grandchildren. So it puts perspective.
Shout out
Like,
to
we
your pops
didn't
for that.
have
That is
an opportunity to do that with you guys because we were so busy working, so busy this, so busy that. We didn't have time for it. But now that we have time, it's important that, you know, we tell your daughters, you know, Papa and Mama love you. Listen to your mom and dad. So I was just like, you know what, man, you soft now, bro. Like, what happened to you?
you soft.
I told him straight to the face, like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
Is this the same dude that used to discipline me just to look the wrong way? Like, but yeah, but
Just 'cause you didn't answer quick enough?
That is
Yeah.
that is the curveball.
Real quick before we move on, there's this clip that reminds me. Steph sent it to me actually like a couple weeks ago. There's this clip I think that's going viral with Damon Wayans and Marlon Wayans. I'm not sure you guys seen it. And then they asked Damon, how does it feel to be a grandparent, right? And then he goes, having grandchildren, and something, I might butcher it, but the idea of having grandchildren shows you how you should have loved your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
dang.
No.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm like,
That's
dang, I
like-
can't
that's
forward
real.
this to my
That's real.
parents. They
Yeah.
don't got it. They don't got it.
Well,
IG, bro. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I'll give this right. And to Clint's point, and his dad did say, like, that is fucking facts, bro.
yeah, I agree.
He was working his ass off to make sure his family was right.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one of those, like, come to Jesus, not come to Jesus moment, but come to life moments where you're like, I can rest now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about, oh, are you good?
Yeah.
Is your ate good?
Yeah.
Like, we did our job.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
I can
Yeah.
sit
In
back
our eyes,
and enjoy the fruits of my
100%.
labor.
In our eyes,
Yes.
you went to school, you got your college degree, you got married,
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
raising your family.
Yep.
Da 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 da.
Yeah.
You guys turned out to be good people.
Yep.
That was our job.
Yep.
So now allow us to enjoy our grandchildren.
Yeah. And that doesn't
Right?
for his fruits of his labor,
And I
he's
was like,
enjoying
what?
that. He's like, you're soft.
Oh, I wanna,
soft,
Yeah.
I was heated. I was heated when he told me that. I was like, man, what happened to you, bro?
Yeah.
What happened to
If I
you?
told my grandpa that, he'd slap the shit out of me. But
Talk about another OG, bro.
but all right, man. Thank you for sharing that. It's really awesome. Okay, so I found 3 things. It's actually 3 good things that you should do before you go inside after work, right? And we always talk about how, I think we talked about the first episode, changing the hats, right? Taking off your work hat, putting on your husband hat or your father hat. And so that's along the same line. So it says 3 things you should do before going inside when you're arriving from work, or say you're arriving from a night out or a business trip type of shit, right? It's switching out of work mode and into family mode. Changes from the person you are at work into the person you are at home. The next one is you have to decide your attitude before walking in that door. And I think that one hit home to me because I go through a lot at work and it's stressful, right? Because I lead people and that energy sometimes comes home with me, right? Whether it's, I get irritated because somebody doesn't do something, or I get stressed from work because we didn't hit our goal, right? And now they're coming down on me because of it, right? So it's knowing your attitude when you get through the door. So you had a bad day, but that shouldn't be the attitude you come through the door with, right? The stress, the anger, the irritation, right? You should be happy to be home, right? So your attitude should be happy to go through that door, right? And the last one is put a smile on your face after you walk through that door, or before you walk through the door. Put a smile on your face because it says your kids are waiting for you. You said that before. Same thing with me. I'm sure with you. Soon as they hear the door open, soon as they hear you or your voice, they get happy. They run to you, Dad. I miss you, and all that stuff like that. They want to see you happy, right? And whether you're happy or not, we all know this from our parents. They don't show that part. They don't show I'm sad, I'm angry, and blah blah blah. Obviously, there's a place and time to sit your kid down and be like, hey, I'm not in a good place right now. To let them know, like, it happens, right? But this is a point in time where you're coming home from work. They don't know what you went through at work, right? You should be coming home and letting them know, like, I'm happy to see you.
Yeah.
As much as your kid is happy to see you coming home from work. If that makes sense.
Agree.
Right?
Agree.
All right. And then also there was some things I said on the pod yesterday. I think that'll be helpful too. Life becomes peaceful when. And there's six. I have 6 answers here. Life becomes peaceful when you let go of what you can't control. Life becomes peaceful when you stop seeking validation from others. Life becomes peaceful when you practice gratitude every day. And if you haven't heard me say that, I've said that a million times. I'm a big component about that. Life becomes peaceful when you set boundaries and protect your energy. Life becomes peaceful when you focus on the present, not the past or the future. Be where your feet's at. Life becomes peaceful when you accept that not everything needs a reaction. And I'm working on that.
Guilty.
Right now.
Yeah.
I have and you guys know me. I have an issue with
Throwing hands?
well, these hands are rated E for everybody. So but I have an issue with not reacting. I have an issue with. I know I do. I have a short temper, so it's like you bring that energy, I bring that energy as well. So I need
You
to
have a short temper?
it might not seem
Never did I know that.
You never see that.
For 36 years I've known you, Ray. You have a short temper.
And I'm trying to be a better person, bro. I'm trying to be a better person. Okay, so I'm working on that part. Life becomes peaceful when you choose peace over drama, which we all know that. Life becomes peaceful when you forgive, but don't forget the lesson. Life becomes peaceful when you prioritize your mental and physical well-being. And I think our generation now, we're very conscious about that. We never used to, our parents before us, even my grandparents, they're not conscious about the mental, well-being or even physical. These fools would, my grandparents would go to work dying. They don't care just to get the bag. So I think now we're more of a generation of, being more aware of what that means to us and showing our kids that should mean that much to you as well. All right, next question. What's one piece of advice you would give another father going through it? So all the struggles we go through, whether it's, our mental, and it could be something that we're going through internally or, fathers going through it with their kids. What is one piece of advice you would tell, and you being a new father, what is you're in a particular situation because you're a new father, right?
Yeah.
You're going through everything once.
Yeah.
For the first time. What's one word of advice you would give a new father or somebody expecting to have a kid?
Don't go through it alone. And alone, not meaning like a partner, a spouse, girlfriend. I mean alone as men. Everything that you're going through, someone currently is or already has gone through. And build that village. Something like this. It helps make you a better person, gives you a little bit better insight, gives you hope and a light of the tunnel in the dark moments you're by yourself. Yeah, big one. Don't go through. You're not alone, and don't go through it alone. That's my big one.
Next.
I'd say don't lose yourself. Why I say that is that, when you become a father and the responsibility switches, now you're responsible for your children or your child, right? You get caught up on the daily grind. Like, I need to do this for my kid. I need to do that for my kid. But sometimes you need to do it for yourself. I don't want to sound selfish, but you have to do things for yourself for your own sanity, right? Whatever form that is, creative, physical, whatnot. For me, I lift weights 30 minutes almost every night. I play golf when I can, right? Or I call people on the phone just to catch up, right? Those are my way of like grounding myself and not losing myself, right? And young fathers, like when Mio was born, there was like a couple of months where I was just like on autopilot. Like I had no idea what, like I would be doing something and I don't even remember doing all the other stuff that I did prior that day, right? So to make it quick, I just like, as a young father or a father that's expecting a child, don't lose yourself.
Yep.
Because once you lose yourself, you know, everything will go awry.
Yep. And I think that comes to my point about being where your feet are.
100.
Making sure you're there, present, mentally, right? Because physically you're there.
Yeah.
It's just you sometimes, like you said, I've been in those things too, where you just get on autopilot and you don't even remember the month that just passed. All you know is that you went to work, came home, went to sleep, woke up, went back to work, like that. And that's where, you know, you got to make sure you enjoy what you have in front of you. And I know sometimes the situation doesn't call for it because there might be going through something or whatever, but you need to be in that moment so that you can either attack what's going on so that you can get over it, right? Kind of battle that part of it and, you know, get out of it.
We touched on this a little bit on the last Father Pond. We talked about being intentional with your wife.
Yep.
You know, and I'm guilty of it. That I forgot. I didn't put my wife first. You know, and I think as fathers, we want to be so much for our children. But we're like, I think it was the PJ said, we raised our children to leave us. Right? And then who's going to be there with us then? And if we forget our wife and we're not intentional with them, that relationship's going to be soured by that time. You know, so that's something I had to learn the hard way. And it's something I'm continuing to work on now. But I wish someone told me this. You know, like I was false to think that, you know, we were going to be loved unconditionally.
Yeah.
Fathers don't get unconditional love. Right? Dogs get unconditional love. Pets, children. But fathers, we have to put up. We have to provide. We got to show up.
Without the confirmation.
Yes. You know, so with that aside, like we gotta remember about our queens.
Yeah.
You know, and because they're the ones at the end of the day, they're the ones gonna be with us.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't see a lot of marriages last. You know, like,
And it's probably because of that.
yes, absolutely. You know, so like I see when I see couples celebrating 50, 60 years together, I always ask them like what's the secret?
Yeah.
You know, and they always say like we were there for each other. You know.
That's good. Awesome.
That's a good one.
What is one thing that you want your kids to remember about you? There you go.
Yeah. Go, you guys go ahead.
I'm going to try not to get emotional.
Get emotional, please. You want me to hold you?
It wouldn't be the first time. I think ultimately, if I can speak to future me and future Naya as adults, I just wish that they would just remember me being a good man. Right? Not that I was X, Y, and Z, but just I was a good man. I tried to do things right by them. I tried to teach people with respect. I tried to be a positive light in darkness, right? Be a good man. Because like you, everyone here has a daughter. We're gonna have to one day give their hands to someone.
Nope.
And give them the responsibility to look after our little girls. And I would just hope that when they get to that age where they seek their partners, be like, you know what, he's a good man, just like my dad.
Mm. Damn.
Right. So it keeps me up at night, but I know one day it will come. But yeah, that just what I would want my girls to remember me.
Go, you go.
How do you get that? My dad never quit. One day when I have this conversation with her and she asks how life was and what is one thing that I would have want her to learn is that when you want something, you don't quit, you fight for it, tooth and nail. And a lot of my life, I want to say, fell into place by the way God wanted to because of her. And I didn't ever want my daughter to look back and tell me that I quit and that I kept fighting and that I persevered. That's to add on to Clint's point, because that's my biggest. I just want to try to give a different perspective because I think about that every day when I look at her. Like,
My first thought to mind was like, oh, I want my kids to remember that I was kind, that I was fair. But at the same time, I tell my kids life's not fair, and I want them to remember me as being present. You know, that I was there for them. You know, and everything that they needed me to be. That I was a good husband to their mom. Because my wife told me something recently, and it like very similar to what Clint mentioned. Like, our daughters will model the vision of a man based on how we are towards our wife.
Yep. And
that hit me hard. You know, and like, would I want my daughter to have a man? She needs to find a better man than me. Much better man than me, you know. So I have to raise my standards myself. She has to see a better version of her dad.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that's hard. You know. Again, it goes back to the thing like, man, like, it was just not quite enough.
Yeah.
You know, and like, and we have to give ourselves grace. You know, that as long as we're intentional, as long as our heart is in the right place, it doesn't mean that we have to get it right every time.
And we won't. And we won't.
Yeah.
No.
And we won't.
But that's what we're making a strong effort to, you know.
Yeah. I think for me, it's a lot along the lines of yours of being present, because obviously mine wasn't. I think I've always I think I've said that to all of you guys. I want my kids to know that they had a dad, right? And to Clint's point, like, I think that keeps me up at night as well. Me having 3 daughters is like that one day, or, you know, in the future, that's going to be 3 times over. And it's makes me sick to my stomach. Not in a bad way. It's just, I know it's coming and nothing we can do to stop it. But I just hope that whatever I did, raising them, makes them understand the value that I put amongst them, like making them understand life, values, And to your point, fair. Like I'm fair, and I make them understand like life isn't fair, and I treat them that way. I make sure they understand like I'm not babying you. I don't baby you, but I love you. Like I love you with all my heart. And when you do good things, I will give you the world. But when you slip up and you get off the path, I will come down with the hammer and make sure you understand like this is not the right thing. Right? So I think they get best of both worlds from me. But I took from what you guys said, that's exactly how I feel. I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, when I'm laying on my deathbed, that they make me understand that I was there.
I
And
think-
it's just
I think it takes a girl dad to like really understand. Like somebody told me once, like you don't understand what it is to be a dad until becoming a girl dad. Because with sons, it's totally different.
Yeah.
I don't have the. I'm sure you don't have the same pressure with Raymond. Right?
Not along the same lines.
It's a different kind of pressure.
The different pressure for him is me making sure that he becomes a man.
yeah, like he's able to take things when it's time for his time to raise his family.
Yes.
That he has all the
Yes.
tools to do it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think there's a different pressure with him because I know from, especially, and I mean, who people who know me, he has a different mom, so he's not with me 24/7. So to me, my pressure is just like making sure that he understands that I'm always there for him, whether he has, obviously he's not with me, so I always overly communicate with him to make sure that he knows I'm there. And when he does stuff bad, I make sure he knows it, but then also to reconfirm that I love you and I'm only doing this because I love you. And that I'll always be there no matter what he does and that type of shit. But like, that's a different whole pressure for me, And I believe for you as well. I remember you talking about like, when you had Aaron, you knew like, okay, I have a boy, I can do this and this and this, and you have your daughter and you're like, fuck, right? It's a whole different feeling. It's a whole different, love. You try to figure out, do I treat her with a stern fist, or do I baby her to like a princess?
It's like a balance,
It's
right?
like,
it's a balance, everyday
it's
balance.
a very it's unique pressure, I guess you could say, when it comes to raising daughters.
Yeah.
And to like piggyback off of Vince's point, it's whether we see it or not, every day that we show up for our kids, we're building the standard.
Yep.
Right? And we hope that we can set the bar high enough that, when it's time for them to move on and lead their lives, that's the foundation that they see.
Yep.
Right? So.
Great points, fellas.
Yep. All right. To circle that up and kind of leave the station. Let's get a little lighthearted now.
Yeah, bro.
There's a lot of emotions in
It's
here.
been
Hey.
heavy this entire time.
Hey,
This
but
one's good.
it's a great episode, man.
This
That's a
one's
great
worth it,
episode,
man.
Yeah.
Man, my chest was
Man.
heavy,
Yeah,
boy.
man. This is gonna be a good one. Like
Had to
always.
look at Kobe right there the entire time.
I
Mamba
had
mentality.
eye contact.
Yeah. Let's talk about Pacquiao. Pacquiao's coming out of retirement to fight, and I'm very sad. I do not want to see him
I'm
fight.
scared.
I mean, look, I love this guy to death, but it's
Punching
just,
power.
yeah, his power is very strong.
He's
Wishy,
fighting
wishy.
Barrios.
I know. That's
Is
what,
that good? I don't
He's
know.
good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
like legit fight.
yeah,
Yeah,
legit
he's
fight.
the
Why?
champion.
Yeah.
But how did he get this spot?
Well, there's no other like Barrios doesn't have like the other fighters in his class. They don't have the name to be able to get money.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that's how Pacquiao was able to.
How much is he
jump-
getting?
jump
How
the
much is he
line.
getting? Do we know the number?
No,
I don't know,
but
but
it's,
like-
it's probably a lot of money because all the Filipinos are coming out for this one.
Come on, man.
Everybody's coming out for this one. But like I said, I don't want to see him fight because he's, dude.
I just
you've
get scared
you've been
every
away
time he fights.
You're old, right?
Yes.
He's older,
Yeah.
and he's been away from the game for a while.
Who saw the Mike Tyson fight?
I did. It's sad.
I
That's
think
what I'm
everybody
saying.
at this point.
It's sad, bro.
I don't.
He got a bag though.
No, he did, but I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah,
Pacquiao's
100%.
gonna get more.
Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna
But
be
I'm
okay
just
with?
afraid he could get knocked out. Like he gets.
All I'm saying
Bro.
is when Pacquiao lost in San Diego for Mark's birthday weekend against Timothy
yeah.
Bradley, I got so drunk. It was bad.
He lost to that guy? I forgot.
Yeah.
He lost.
by decision.
First time.
He got-
not that
no,
he landed.
he
Not
didn't-
like he landed more
he
punches, more
didn't-
power
he didn't
punches, or
lose.
whatever.
exactly.
It was stolen.
There
You
you go.
okay?
Whatever.
Thank you.
It was stolen.
He didn't
Whatever.
lose.
He didn't lose.
And Bradley knew he.
There's only one fight I know he lost.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, he didn't
Maybe.
lose that fight. It was stolen.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
There's
But
one-
I just don't want to see Pacquiao get
I just don't want to
embarrassed.
hurt.
You know,
Yeah,
like
that's my point. I mean, look, he could come out and have a respectable fight,
Okay.
lose, and then go off in the sunset. I just don't want to see it
I don't.
because it could go the total
That's what I'm
opposite
saying.
way. He could get knocked
He has
the
more to
fuck out,
lose
and
than to
I'm
gain.
gonna be even more sad.
But I
Right.
will say, I will argue that if there's one guy that could potentially surprise us, it could
I
be
agree,
Pacquiao.
but how many times are we gonna play with that
Yeah,
card?
I don't know.
If he
I
gets,
like his optimism though.
if he gets slept,
Hey,
I don't think
I'm as
I don't
optimistic-
know how quick
I'm
he's
as-
waking up.
and
I'm as positive as
Barrios is a
anybody
big
can
guy.
come.
You know what I'm
He's,
saying?
he's a bigger
That's
guy.
what I'm saying.
Like,
But
guys-
there also could be a chance that he gets.
Okay, but if he
Slap the
wins,
fuck
are we
up.
gonna
Yeah.
be like, yeah, or like, duh?
Well, if he wins, he's gonna have the title. Or he's gonna
That's what I'm saying. So
fight
he
for
has to
another
defend
title.
it?
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. So he's gonna win and then fight again. Like, I just again,
I
I
get
think
that he
this,
loves it,
this
bro.
might be
Hey,
I
real-
love basketball
real talk,
too,
though.
but, you know.
I'm more impressed that Tito Boy, one of his trainers, he still looks the same.
same. Yeah, same.
Same rounded stomach, same haircut.
Yeah,
Crazy.
He trains.
Mad impressed.
All right, man. Let's get to the funniest question of the day,
Oh,
and this is the one that all our wives wants to hear.
no, they don't.
Well, I got in trouble asking like. Go ahead.
Okay, so the question is, for $5 billion, would you punch your wife in the face? And it for context, right? It's not a light jab, okay? And it's not a heavy hitter like I'm gonna knock you out punch. Well, yes. You know what? Fuck it. You are gonna punch her, not 100%, but like I'll say like
He's gonna hit
85.
her.
Yeah, you're gonna hit her.
Whatever it be,
You're gonna
Close fist.
close fist punch to the face.
yeah. There's no guidelines on this. Vince.
Yeah.
We tried.
Close fist punch to the face for $5 billion.
Real quick, did anyone meditate or ask this question to our wives before?
No, because I wanted to
No.
sleep peacefully.
Well, look,
Well, I think
DJ.
we're gonna go back home if we answer
I-
this truthfully.
well,
Wait, how long? Hey, how
Or
long is
not
this episode going
truthfully.
to take until it comes out?
it's gonna go.
What do you mean it's coming out tonight?
It's coming out tonight.
Bro,
Yeah.
Father's Day's tomorrow, bro.
Yeah, it's coming out tonight. Well, actually, it's gonna come out tomorrow morning.
So I
Okay.
asked
We're
Janet.
taking separate cars
I-
to church.
I asked her first question. I said, "Babe, how would you like $5 billion?" She's like, "I would
That's
love $5 billion."
Smart move. Smart
Right? I'm like,
move.
all right, okay. What if there was a way, not that I'm saying there is, but what if there was a way that we could be $5 billion richer,
Dang, that's
and all you had to do was take a punch from me,
How would you say?
and that's where it ended.
she just walked away.
No, she didn't walk away, but she was like, "You're not punching me."
Oh, okay.
She's like, "You're not punching me," and if you put your hands on me, we're done. So essentially, the question became:
Do you want to be $5 billion?
$5 billion divided by 2 minus divorce court.
It might be worth it.
am I gonna get the $5 billion?
Child support.
Am I gonna get it before the divorce? Because before the divorce, or after the divorce.
Hey, I'm sorry to tell you, we're in California. This is a no fault state.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
automatically she would get half.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
get nothing.
So there's no way around it.
She'd get half and then get more from us, the
Yeah.
other half,
Yeah.
monthly.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah.
All right, let's just
Okay.
let's
No, let's
so
get-
let's
all
get
right,
this
let's
going.
go.
Okay,
Alright,
so
alright.
you say
Okay.
no. You're not doing it. Clint. Did you ask Yessie?
No, because
Okay.
I wanted to sleep peacefully,
one eye open.
Okay, so what then?
and I'm not articulate
So-
enough
so-
to be like, "Hey, babe,
so okay, so she
what
doesn't
if
know.
we could find a way
She
to
doesn't know
make
this
$5
question.
billion?"
She's gonna find out from this pod. Would you punch Yessie for $5 billion?
We would get the money in lump sum, right? It's not like
Yeah, no
lump
lump
sum.
sum, no monthly payments.
Survive.
No. You get the $5 billion. The $5 billion is sitting right here.
Yeah, ugh.
Right here in a lock cage, and they say, "Hey, here's the money. All you gotta do is punch your wife."
Dang.
Are you punching your wife?
Babe, it's $5 billion. It's $5 billion.
I appreciate that he's first.
Preface it. There was like something that happened on TikTok not
Uh-huh.
too long ago where there was like this viral trend
Yeah.
similar to this.
Uh-huh.
And she made the point, like, you know what? For $5 billion, just do it.
Yep.
Just do it. Because that means we'll settle it after.
Yep.
I might not be alive to see the $5 billion, but nonetheless, the family got
Your
$5 billion.
generations of your life.
Yeah,
The kids,
like-
your kids is good.
You know, like, it's
Yeah,
just,
you're good.
yeah, so.
PJ.
One, I did preface this. I tried to ask her, hey, look, Ray sent me questions that we want to go over. Can I talk to you about it? We never got to the question.
Okay. All right. Hey, Cuzzo.
Just
Listen to what this guy's
but
gonna
I
say.
did
Hey,
send
Steph.
her before I sent this video to you guys. I did send it to her. She didn't double tap it. She didn't respond. It just said red on IG.
Dang, so she read it.
And the question was $1 billion.
No, it's $5 billion.
The video was 5? Or
No,
you
no,
just
no,
made
our
it 5?
question is $5
That's what
billion.
I'm saying. When it was 1 billion, I was ha. 5.
A lot of money.
But are we like jokingly, or like? Because I joke around a lot, but in reality,
I think in reality.
in our reality, no, I wouldn't.
No.
To take it, it was a great fun question to ask. As a joke, I didn't think it was gonna make this pod.
Yeah.
I'm glad it did, just to lighten up the mood a little bit. But of course, in all reality, like,
Yeah.
would you be $5 billion richer and alone?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. When I saw this question, I already knew the answer.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna punch her.
All right, Britt.
And well, no. But
I'm going to punch her.
well, look at. I know my wife, right? My wife, because I sent her the question,
Oh, okay.
and she told me. She said, "You better knock me out." And I said, "I know."
Oh, she loves it.
we know this already. Like I know this in my wife. She'd be like, "You're gonna hit me, but we're gonna spend this $5 billion." So I already knew. Like I
Reconstruction.
didn't even have to ask her. I just knew already what the answer would be. So for me, it's she's gonna get knocked out.
Yessie's a fighter, so if I was going to dish it,
You better.
I better knock her out, because
Yeah,
if she
that's
gets up, she's going to punch me back.
Steph will f me up.
Yeah.
That's what I said. But yeah, man. Shout out to the wives though.
Hey.
We
I
love
love
you.
you.
We love you.
Love
I
you
will
guys.
More important than money.
Steph, Yessie, Janet, love you
How many
guys.
comments is that?
Yeah.
It's okay. I love you.
Yeah. All right, man. We rolled in the train into the station. This is a great pod. Thank you guys again for coming. Again, I just want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. This episode's going to come out on Father's Day, purposely why we recorded it today. So again, happy Father's Day to everybody. Happy Father's Day to all our fathers in this room, all the fathers of all the people who listen to this pod, and the ones that are not here with us anymore. Yeah, man. And I get to the end of this pod. Well, I leave you with this, and I have a couple good ones here. Your greatest gift you ever give is your honest self. That's one of them. The only person coming to save you is the version of yourself that's tired of your current situation. That's a tough one. And then this one is called your future. The future you want is on the time and effort and energy you give today. Success isn't instantaneous. It develops over time through constant steps forward. Be better today than you were yesterday, and be better tomorrow than you were today.
Amen.
So yeah, man. Again, thank you guys for coming. This is Father Pod
Thank you, Ray.
episode 3.
Thank you very much, man.
Thanks, Ray. I
Happy Father's
appreciate
Day,
you, man.
y'all.
Happy Father's
Happy
Day, y'all.
Father's
Happy
Day.
Father's Day to everybody out there as well.
Happy Father's Day, y'all.
Is over.
Be
And
intentional.
that's it.
Juice on the beat.